Hello everybody, and this is Burke Lyle here. And news I want to share today is the NHL has agreed with Turner Broadcasting as part of their new TV deal. And about 7 weeks ago in early March, the NHL and ESPN agreed to an agreement. And now it's the NHL and Turner. But one thing this does mean, and the downside of all this is, so long, NHL and NBC. So that means the NHL's agreement with NBC has come to an end, so all their coverage of NBC has come to an end. And granted, this was a big story back in March when ESPN came in. And for the last 16 years, going back to the post-lockout era, you know, Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, two of the biggest stars in the game. Certainly then and maybe now. You could say McDavid and Draisaitl. But either way, these guys are now part of the ESPN deal as well. And this is a landmark deal for hockey. Since remember, before pre-lockout, which that was 2004, the NHL was on ESPN ABC family, where you had Gary Thorne, Steve Levy, a lot of Stanley Cup Finals were on ESPN ABC before NBC took over. In 2005, I think, in post-lockout, it was the NHL and NBC. Obviously, had Doc Emmerich for many years. Kenny Albert was the #2 guy, did the Western Conference Finals for a lot of the years, and basically the Western Conference playoffs starting the second round. You had, in recent years, John Forsland, who might be the #1 guy now, probably the #2 guy, probably going to do one of the conference finals. More recently, they've added Brandon Burke to the rotation. So with that, the days of the NHL and NBC are over. If you want to think about the greatest NHL and NBC moments, and I'll definitely talk more about them, maybe towards the end when the finals take place, I would say what comes to mind is kind of in the early years and maybe boring finals where you had Canes, Oilers. Yes, that went 7 games in 06, but really there wasn't, I don't think there's too many really big stars then, kind of two not exciting market teams. Really, I think NHL's NBC's primary years, I'd say, were 08-09, where you had Crosby against the Penguins, against the Red Wings, back-to-back years. 20 and 21, that's how old Sidney Crosby was. Younger than I am right now as I am recording. You started to have the Caps Penguins, so many rivalry games in the regular season, whether it's Sunday NBC or Wednesday night hockey on NBCSN. Before that, it was Versus. You had those playoff matchups of Caps Penguins, just kind of NHL and NBC memories. Those would be the moments that stand out. I would say then the Blackhawks winning those 3 cups. Blackhawks got a lot of credit to NBC there. And then the Penguins again, Caps Penguins rivalry, Capitals winning the cup, Ovechkin finally winning that cup in 2018 was a big deal for NBC. And then Bruins Blues, and then last year, unfortunately, little do we know, 2019 will be their last normal Stanley Cup Finals for NBC. Since you look at what happened last year, anything but normal this year. We don't know when the playoffs are going to start. The regular season seems like it's going to expand for a week longer. Biggest problem, I think, is thanks to the Vancouver Canucks. They had a lot of COVID issues as well. So you look at that issue. When the Stanley Cup playoffs start, I don't know. But this is going to be the last year of the Stanley Cup playoffs on NBC and NBCSN. Since if you think about it, the NHL got NBC in 05. They actually were paired with Outdoor Life Network, which I think that started in the 90s, and then it became Versus. I remember as a kid watching Versus. And then it became NBCSN on, I believe, January 1st, 2012. And again, in 2011, NHL, they signed a deal exclusively with NBC and Versus at the time. And Versus is no more. Now it's NBCSN, which, by the way, NBCSN is going to shut down. I repeat, is going to shut down at the end of this year. So NBCSN, going back to OLN and Versus, it's gone. That channel's gone, which, again, that channel provided a lot of good hockey coverage. Wednesday night hockey. Most of the Stanley Cup playoffs, other than those Saturday and Sunday NBC games, most of the conference finals, they provided. NBCSN, you know, they did a lot of Premier League soccer. So NBC has seized ties with the NHL, which, you know what, that makes sense. Since this video is kind of half NHL Turner, kind of half farewell NBC. NBC spent a lot of money on Sunday Night Football. That is their biggest package, is Sunday Night Football. That is their king. And granted, NBCSN, NBC, now how many hockey games a year NBC shows? I'd say 20-something, I don't know. NBCSN gets most of the deal. I think they show over 100 games, or close to 100. When you look at, where was I? When you look at NBC, then Sunday Night Football shows between 17 regular season games, kickoff, Thanksgiving. I'd say they show 19 regular season games plus playoffs. They get 2 weeks in the playoffs. Now with the expanded playoffs, they get 3. And then they get the Super Bowl, which NBC, they were smart. I'll give them credit for this. Let me get into this. They were smart to trade that Super Bowl for CBS. CBS, they get 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. NBC has to wait 4 years before they get into the Super Bowl. Well, guess what? NBC, think about the run they're about to go on. So they're about to get the Stanley Cup Finals and playoffs this year. As soon as that's over, you're going to go right into the Tokyo Olympics. If that's going to happen, we don't know. I think it's going to happen. It's definitely a problem whether it does or not. So you have the Tokyo Olympics. And then, after the Tokyo Olympics, you might get a little time off, 6 weeks off. Sunday Night Football, Super Bowl, Winter Olympics. That's quite a stretch for NBC. And they're losing hockey, yes. So I guess they will show Olympic hockey on NBC now. Who their broadcasters will be for that, I don't know. Do they borrow? Since I think some guys who work for NBC during the Olympics, I think are kind of borrowed, maybe not full-time employees. And I think that's what I recall for NBC. I mean, do they borrow the hockey guys for the Olympics? I mean, you think they'd have to, right? Since who are their lead voices? Al Michaels is not going to do hockey. Do you let Mike Tirico do it? I mean, I know Tirico is this big-time studio guy with NBC. I mean, he's kind of their lead guy now. I mean, do you let Tirico commentate hockey for the Olympics? I mean, how do you do this? So, NBC decided, you know what? Sunday Night Football is a priority. Premier League soccer, I'm going to be honest, I don't care about soccer that much. I don't watch it that much. But you wonder if they're going to expand that deal. I heard that deal's also expiring. But either way, Sunday Night Football and the Olympics every other year are a big deal for this network. So I think they're in good hands to where they are right now, and that is NBC and Sunday Night Football. Now, I am a little disappointed since the NHL and NBC, you know, it is kind of a iconic theme. In fact, you know what? Now that I think about it, we're just going to pause for a moment as I get ready to play this video, and we're just going to listen to the NHL on NBC theme for a moment. So bear with me. Oh, never mind. My microphone's plugged in. Never mind. So anyways, I'm sorry to waste your all's time. So that didn't work out. So NHL on NBC has a really good theme song. Look it up. It's one of the best theme songs in sports. That theme song is going to go away. And for NBC, you know, getting the NHL back, they got that back and Sunday Night Football kind of right around the same time. Since for years they had tough luck. I think they lost football sometime in the 90s. I know for sure they lost the MLB. They did numerous World Series in the 90s. They also lost the NBA and NBC. They had a great 12-year run. Jordan Bulls, probably the signature of NBA and NBC. So NBC had some tough luck. You know what? They haven't gotten the NBA back in almost 20 years. I don't know if they will. You know what? Maybe they do. I think the NBA TV deal expires in 2025. Maybe they think about it. So that's kind of the story with NBC. Farewell NHL and NBC. So Turner, since we already know ESPN, so ESPN, just to kind of run through it real quickly, ESPN, I think what they're going to do is they're going to show about 75 national games on ESPN+. So in the NHL season, that seems like about 3 games a week, so that's a lot. Plus, I think 25 on ESPN or ABC platform, just nationally on ABC. Remember, ABC also has the NBA too. And then if you want to stream games, you got to go to ESPN Plus to stream out and market games. So that's how it's going to work. So ESPN wins big with the NHL. I think they're trying to help grow the game. So who ESPN. I know for sure they have Steve Levy. I've heard of John Buccigross. I sometimes watch Inside the Crease. Might have Linda Cohen do some maybe studio hosting or provide some content. I'm wondering who the NHL is going to use and who their analysts are going to be. And also their color commentators. I wonder who the ESPN's going to use. I don't know yet. It's been so long. I don't think they'll use Gary Thorne or Bill Clement. Bill Clement is retired from hockey. But now with Turner, I wonder who they will bring over. Since obviously I went over the NBC side. You have Kenny Albert. Yes, he also works with Fox. He's worked with Fox for many years. And also the MSG Network and, of course, NBC in recent years. I think TNT has to bring over Kenny Albert. He's one of the best hockey announcers ever. Bring over Kenny Albert. You got to bring over John Forsland. He's been a hockey announcer for many, many years with NBC Sports and Versus. You should bring him over. And then number 3 guy, I wonder whether it be national or local. Do you consider Joe Beninati, who was actually, I think, the number 2 NHL and Versus guy in national games, kind of late 2000s, early 2010s. Most notable Bruins Flyers series. I wonder if you bring back Joe Beninati. I don't know. Longtime voice of the Washington Capitals. You wonder potentially who your national voices are. Brandon Burke, I think you'd have to bring him over. Those should be your number 3 guys. Since I think I heard Turner. And just talking about guys, and before I get into this, just who they might bring over. Obviously the NBC guys. You got to bring over Pierre McGuire. You got to bring over Pierre McGuire. You've got to bring over Brian Boucher, Eddie Olczyk. Bring them over. I like them. They're good with NBC. Bring them over. And you wonder if you bring someone else over from TSN or Canadian networks. Chris Chabot, it's good to go. I think he has the Stanley Cup Finals on CBC or Sportsnet. He's good in Canada. Maybe you consider Gord Miller, who's a kind of a backup voice in Canada. Lower level on NBC more, Sportsnet, more Canadian. You wonder who you bring over. What about Ray Ferraro? Long time with TSN. I wonder if you could potentially bring some local guys over, even whether ESPN does that, whether Turner does that as well. You wonder which local hockey announcers will come over to the national side. So it's going to be interesting to see what the announcer pairings are come up for the NHL on Turner and ESPN. So this is a whole new look for hockey. Since for years and years, it was NBC Sports. For 10 years, just NBC Sports and NBCSN. That was it. Now, farewell NHL and NBC 16 Stanley Cup Finals, the last 16. So here's how the new deal is going to work. So ESPN gets the finals. So next year, the Stanley Cup Finals will be on ESPN. But in 2 years, 2023, Stanley Cup Finals, Turner Broadcasting is going to show the Stanley Cup Finals. So the Stanley Cup Finals will be on Turner in 2023, 2025, 2027. They get it every other year. So it's going to be interesting to see how hockey and Turner works. I'm really looking forward to it. Since I'm right here in Atlanta, I'm based in Atlanta, I'm looking forward to this. It's right here in my backyard, NHL on TNT. And you know what would be really cool? I'd love to be one of the guys on NHL and TNT, whether it's studios. In fact, talking about Turner, you wonder who their studio analyst will be. And also, who the studio host is going to be. Since what if it's Ernie Johnson Jr.? What if you bring in Ernie Johnson? He's one of the lead TNT guys. Now, granted, he has his workload of basketball inside the NBA, and he's done baseball too, so he may have that on his plate, so that might be too much for Ernie Johnson. So maybe you consider trying to think of people who are at Turner. I can't remember his name. The other guy, the second guy, I think does Tuesday night TNT hosting. Maybe you consider that. I don't know who you bring over. I'm excited for this. Do you consider Brian Anderson calling hockey? Lead voice at Turner? I don't think so. What about Ian Eagle? You know what? No, you're not going to bring in Ian Eagle. He's focused on basketball and football. So I'm interested to see who Turner brings in. So also, here's something that Turner gets. They get the Winter Classic. So they're going to get the next 7 Winter Classics. So by the way, NBC got the 2020 Winter Classic in Dallas. It's New Year's Day 2020. You have the Winter Classic in Dallas. Little do we know, a couple months later, pandemic comes in. That's the last Winter Classic that we get for NBC. Sorry, that's it. So that's it. So who NBC is keeping, by the way? Mike Tirico, he's staying. Liam McHugh, he's staying. He's staying at NBC. There's no reason for him to leave. He's now in the league report. He's not only is one of the lead reporters for Sunday Night Football, also when Tirico does play-by-play, which I think he eventually will, Lee McHugh is going to be the lead studio host for Sunday Night Football. McHugh is staying at NBC, high-level job to be the host of Sunday Night Football. That's one of the best broadcasting jobs in the business, and I wouldn't be surprised if Lee McHugh makes seven-figure money coming up soon. Also, for the Olympics, he's staying. He's not going to TNT. I'm just saying that I don't think that's going to happen. So, McHugh, I've enjoyed hearing you for the NHL and NBC. Catherine Tappan will be staying with NBC. I think does sideline reporting. It's the number 2 package with the NFL and NBC. You wonder what else they might do. So right then and there, I think that's who's staying. Analysts, Keith Jones. Whether it's Keith Jones, maybe gets an expanded role with one of the lead studio guys on with Turner or ESPN. I don't know. Other studio guy, Patrick Sharp, maybe he gets more game action. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. But this spring, we'll be enjoying one last year of the NHL and NBC, which actually, before that, I'm going to say this right now. I think my favorite TV network, like national TV network, was NBC. Since I love Sunday Night Football, really like Notre Dame football. Not a fan of Notre Dame football, just like their coverage. And then the NHL, that's what drew me to NBC the most, was the NHL. That's gone now. Oh yeah, and they had the Olympics. Now, I think it might be Turner. And here's the thing about Turner, is in addition to the NHL, so year-round, they have hockey, they have the NBA, that's their king, that's been their lead in their coverage. They have Major League Baseball, they have the LCS. So think about what Turner Broadcasting gets every year. They have 3 out of the 4 major sports. And they get March Madness. Turner is pretty loaded. I mean, you look at NBC, gone is hockey. The only major sport they have now is football. And the Olympics. So what is NBC going to show for sports, for their sports coverage? I mean, I know they show golf and things like that and NASCAR, I think. But in terms of a major team sport, and maybe they'll be big on soccer, I don't know. But what is NBC going to show, say, in the winter and summer months before football? Like, what are they going to show? That's the thing. I think they lose hockey, which I don't think they're too bummed about losing hockey. But you think about the other networks, CBS, they have the NFL. That's it. They don't have the NBA, MLB, or the NHL. Obviously, they're big on college football and basketball, so they can get through pretty fine. Obviously, the summer is the summer of baseball. Programming dies down usually in the summertime. Fox, they thought about the NHL. It would be interesting to see if they would have gotten it. They didn't. Turner did. Fox, they have the NFL and the MLB. They get the Super Bowl every 3 years, and they've gotten all the last World Series. They're pretty good on programming. They got college football and basketball. Fox is pretty good. So basically, the NBA, they basically have ABC/ESPN. So think about this. So playoffs, Stanley Cup, and NBA, there's going to be tons of overlapping. So if you're ESPN, you're Turner Sports. Turner Sports has everything. They have 3 of the 4 major sports. So that means Stanley Cup Finals 3 times. Conference Finals 7 times. Oh yeah, and they also get the NBA Conference Finals, I think, through 2025. So think about this. ESPN/ABC and TNT, they're going to be getting, and this is interesting, every night, think about this. Turner is going to have the conference finals for the NHL. And ABC will have the NBA conference finals. And the other night, it's going to flip, where ABC has the NHL conference finals and TNT has other ones. So you wonder, is Ernie Johnson going to flip back and forth between basketball and hockey every night during the playoffs? Or is Ernie Johnson going to be one of the hockey guys for the NHL? And I'm wondering, like, I'm so excited about this. Like, you know, I got so excited this morning, like, you know what, my career obligations might have just changed slightly because of this acquisition. Like, it would be fun to stay here in Atlanta and be part of the NHL on TNT and other coverage for Turner Sports. Not to mention baseball. Oh, yeah, and by the way, the MLB through 2028, they have Tuesday Night Baseball, and also, they've got, Turner Sports. They have the LCS, either AL or NL, every other year. So think about it. For a while, they're going to have 2 league conference finals. They're going to have the MLB, NBA, and Stanley Cup. They're going to have the LCS and then conference finals in both leagues. They're going to have a lot. Oh, yeah, and March Madness, and the NCAA Championship Series, the Final Four, every other year. TBS is loaded. If there's any network right now that has more sports coverage, I mean, yes, ESPN, they have the NHL. Yes, they have all 4 major sports. Yes, they go pretty deep into the playoffs with the NBA, and yes, they do cover the NBA Finals. Yes, the ESPN has a lot of coverage. They cover pretty much all the major events. ESPN, they have their load of the most coverage other than the league networks. But if you want to think about in terms of most sports coverage, it's Turner. It's Turner, man. And they're also using TBS and TNT. I wonder what the NHL on Turner theme will sound like. We will find out this fall, within the next 6 months. So I am very excited for this. I'm all for this. So Turner, I think they'll show about 72 games. So again, that's 3 games a week. So what days? Maybe that mean? And granted, that does include. I would think that would include double headers. So maybe you have a, I don't know, Wednesday night doubleheader. Turner, maybe that's what Turner gets, and then maybe they get the Sunday game later in the year, or maybe they get a Tuesday game or a Thursday game. No, that's the TNT. Maybe they get Friday. I don't know, but either way, this is king, man. So this is huge for ESPN Plus this is huge for Turner as well, and they get the Winter Classic. So again, they'll be so when you're watching the Winter Classic from now on, it will be on Turner Sports. Also, not only that, so Turner adds a big event like the Winter Classic to their plate as well. And in the Stanley Cup Finals, so you'll be seeing the Stanley Cup Finals on Turner 3 times. I'm very excited for this. You know, I got very excited for this. You know what? It is farewell NBC, but you know what? I'm very excited about Turner Broadcasting. In fact, if there's any television network I want to work for, and granted they don't have a World Series or NBA Finals, I might want to do Turner, man. It would be fun to be at Turner, be a versatile guy at Turner with all the sports they have. This would be great. This is very exciting. I'm very excited that NHL is coming to Turner, and not only that, this could be great down the road. I mean, you know what, Atlanta, in terms of studio coverage, I mean, they have a lot. Atlanta's a great sports town. Yes, one thing they're missing is hockey, but in some ways, Turner means hockey is back in Atlanta. So there'll be a lot of hockey coverage live from Atlanta. You know, think about it. Live from Atlanta, there'll be so much hockey coverage taking place in Atlanta. And granted, maybe this even makes an NHL team come back to Atlanta. Maybe it somehow does if they have Turner. Maybe that inspires a team to move to Atlanta, whether that's the Hurricanes or the Florida Panthers. Those seem like the 2 most likely, just Southern teams or whoever. So we'll see, but this is great. You know, this is wonderful. You know, I found out the news out this morning. It kind of broke last night. I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention. But, you know, I was hoping, to be honest, that NBC would go back to hockey. I was hoping they'd be the B package. Instead, it's not NBC. Instead, it's Turner. But that's okay. I'm excited. It's kind of a new era. You know, it's a new era of hockey on TV. I'm very excited. You know, I'm a hockey fan. You know, I've been a hockey fan now for 13 years, really a hardcore fan, really the last 6. So hockey's a great game, just great. I love hockey TV coverage. It's a lot of fun. There's Stanley Cup Playoffs is one of my favorite sporting events of the year. Those types of playoffs, it's great, and it's gonna be wonderful. So basically, let's just play this game right here. So 12 months a year, Turner. In January they have the NBA and NHL on Turner. February, same thing. March Madness, plus mix in a little hockey and basketball coverage as well. April, both playoffs, Stanley Cup and NBA playoffs. May, same thing. Not to mention their conference finals. And then, oh yeah, and by the way, not only that, Stanley Cup Finals 3 times. So what if this is a long-term thing? What if this is like a 7-year thing? What if this does expand? I don't know. I don't know, man. This is going to be very special. You know, this is going to be very special, man. This is going to be so much fun. You know, I'm excited for Turner. You know, in fact, just what happened with the NHL, I mean, I want to keep it on the back of my mind. I would love to one day maybe work for Turner Sports. You know, it would really be something. It would really be something else. I am very excited about this, for sure. It seems like a great opportunity for TNT. I'm happy for them. I'm excited. And this is what I said in a tweet. I said, I forgot. I don't have, but basically I said I'm excited for Turner. I'm looking forward to this, but I will miss NBC. Yes, I will miss NBC. It might be a little harder to say goodbye to the NHL and NBC just whenever a network says farewell. I mean, NBC had to say goodbye to the NBA. That was hard. I'm sure that was hard after CBS said goodbye. So that's going to be interesting. But again, you wonder all those nights of alternating between playoff, NBA, and NHL coverage. I mean, again, hockey and basketball, they go together basically at the same time. They overlap very much so. Their seasons are basically the same. Sure, I think hockey starts a little bit earlier, and I think their finals end at least a little bit earlier, depending on the year. But again, but mostly the same overlap. But you will have conference finals, back-to-back nights for Turner, and then back-to-back nights for ESPN, ABC. This is wonderful. This is amazing, and I'm excited. I mean, this fall, you're going to have the MLB playoffs. Yes, you're going to have football this fall like you always do, but I'm so excited to see NHL's new coverage. I'm excited to see what it looks like with Turner, but also ESPN on ABC. So this is great news. I'm excited. I've said a lot. I've rambled on, but I just had to talk about this NHL and Turner. I cannot wait. Let's go. This is so much fun.